Welcome back, my students, to a brand new episode of Comic Class. In today's lesson, guys, we'll be looking at Rick Remender and Wes Craig's Deadly Class Volume 10, Savior Generation. And yeah, it's been a while since we did a Deadly Class volume review, but considering that we're just got the first issue of the final story arc in the series, and that review will be coming out in the next few days after I read the issue. I had no idea the issue had already came out. So we will get onto that, but I wanted to make this quick compilation video of the last few issues that have been collected into Daily Class Volume 10, Savior Generations. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into today's story. Let's go. Real quick, guys, if you want to help me get more videos out faster, you can donate to the channel at the Cash App down below. This helps me treat these videos more like a job and will help the channel and videos to grow and come out more often. I appreciate anyone who donates or doesn't donate, and don't feel like you have to be a fan of the channel. You can still show your support by liking and commenting on the video, and with that out of the way, hope you enjoyed the video.
So the issue pretty much starts off showing us Marcus's character, and Marcus basically has a whole new get up. Basically, the way he dresses is completely different because the story takes place in 1991 during the grunge era. And yeah, despite me not living in this era, I think it's pretty safe to say a lot of us understand the fashion wear that people were wearing during this period. And the comic does a really good job in capturing that period. And yeah, we get to see Marcus basically interacting with people, having tons of parties and just, taking drugs and stuff like that. Eventually, he meets a character, I believe, called Dawn, and him and her basically kind of not, take it off. And while at this party, he basically gets to know her a little bit better. And eventually, he kind of leaves her to her own devices, basically. And eventually, she shows up to his room, which is in a bathroom. Marcus has pretty much fallen off really bad. And he's actually living in a person's bathroom. Mainly just, basically medicating himself with stuff like sets and drugs. And it's pretty sad to see how far he's fallen. And, stuff in this issue does imply that he actually went through with killing Maria and Stefano, but we don't get confirmation of that. But yeah, so after this, we get to see them basically go outside, have a moment to reflect on each other, basically tell about each other's past. And Dawn basically says that she sees that there has to be a good person inside of Marcus, which Marcus himself cannot see, and he even alludes to the fact that if she knew everything that he did and the person that he actually is, she wouldn't be saying that. So it looks like these two might actually have a relationship in the future, and they did end up sleeping with each other. But it's just pretty sad, that Marcus sees himself like this. And while Marcus, after he sleeps with her, basically gets up to get ready to go to his job, we start seeing these type of hallucinations or dreams that Marcus has been having, basically showing different things that might happen, might not happen. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like a premonition showing us, but it shows Saya basically saying that the world is blind in that, and it shows Master Lin basically saying that he always knew that Marcus would be his best student, being the one to kill him off. So it's definitely alluding to the fact that Marcus will be killing Master Lin in the future, and that's how the series will probably end, which I'm okay with, and I kind of predicted that would probably be the ending. So if that is the direction Rick Remender is taking, I'm completely fine with it. So Marcus basically goes to his job, and he's basically a delivery boy for a pizza place. And it's pretty funny that he actually takes the pizza to somebody that didn't order it, and he gets so pissed off that he leaves the pizza there with the dude because he knows that they're just going to throw it away when he takes it back to the pizza place. And the dude actually gets, murdered by somebody. So I'm not sure who it was. I'm guessing it was a person trailing Marcus. And yeah, so eventually Marcus, he realizes that he's been having trouble using the bathroom, so we actually get this funny comedy scene, which I was surprised that we got any comedy in this issue because of everything that transpired in the last volume. But we do get this comedy scene with him trying to use some type of lubrication to get himself to, be able to use the bathroom. And Dawn basically walks in on him doing this act, and he basically runs after her trying to tell her that it's not as bad as she thinks. But while he does that, he actually gets attacked by somebody that I guess was trailing him, basically saying that, he had found him. And Marcus basically has to fight off the intruder, and the intruder basically has a grenade, which blew my mind that this guy actually has something that deadly. So Marcus barely is able to throw the grenade to an area so where it wouldn't, kill both him and the dude. And he, goes on to fight this dude and basically ends up killing him by, stabbing him in the neck with his own weapon, which is, pretty brutal. Eventually, Dawn must have heard the commotion, and she comes to see, if Marcus is alright. And she hears this, massive fight going on. And Marcus basically tells her that this is about as me as it gets, with the issue ending with Marcus basically, naked, in like a feral position, and basically the dude on the ground dead. And, Dawn has no idea what exactly happened. She didn't see what happened. So in her mind, Marcus probably just killed this dude and is a crazy person. That's the way the panel makes it look. And what I really enjoyed about this, if you didn't notice, is that in the puddles of blood, we get to see Marcus as a child, as a teenager, and then it shows a skull, showing, I'm guessing, symbolism that if he keeps going down this path, he is eventually gonna die. And he did mention something like this during the issue, that everybody dies and that he feels his time will come pretty soon, or something like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be symbolic. Maybe after killing Master Lin, he's gonna off himself, or he himself will die of some reason. But I don't know. But that was Daily Class issue 45. So this story starts off with Marcus, Zenzelli, Tasawi, and I think her name is Jayla. And yeah, they're basically all just chilling on a boat. And we definitely can tell right off the bat that they're definitely older, like by a lot of years. And we get revealed that Helmet actually survived his battle with Marcus and getting shot down by Stefano. And yeah, we get to learn more about what happened that night. And we get to see that Marcus basically killed Stefano, it seems. And it's implied that he might have killed Maria. So we'll see if Maria survived. I highly doubt that she's dead though. And I was really surprised that Helmet actually survived. I was kind of mad when I heard about this. So I had looked at the comments before I had read the issue, and I got told that Helmet survived. But the way they explained it made it a lot more believable, in that they went and they, took him to a hospital to try to save Helmet's lives, and Zelly and Tasawi, or Tashawi, or I have no idea how you say his name. And yeah, basically they're just enjoying themselves, living their life. And eventually we get to see that Marcus is on this road trip, it seems, with Helmet and the others. And we get to see how the world is kind of, at this point in the story, with them being a little older. They're dealing with, some of the same stuff that they dealt with in King's Dominion, such as racism, and that you see in the bathroom stall that, or the bathroom that Marcus is in. He kind of writes on it to make some type of joke, about this whole situation, which really shows Marcus still has a little bit of a humor side, even though he's gone through a lot of stuff. And yeah, we get to see that they're basically talking to each other, and Marcus is kind of on this mission to kind of get revenge on King's Dominion. But not only that, but he's kind of come to grips with himself, saying that he doesn't believe in leaving a lasting legacy, and that all that matters is getting what he wants done, and just enjoying life. And we get to see Marcus fall asleep, and he has this kind of dream that I guess is some type of premonition, or what he wants to do, with him taking out Master Lin, and basically saying that they need to kill all the snakes, that they're all rats, and that they need to kill all the snakes. And him and his group basically start taking out the people that are trying to kill them, and anyone that aligns themselves with Master Lin and his teachings that he's taught them. And yeah, it turns out that it was just a dream. One thing I will say before we stop, and go more into this story, I do want to say that I do think it's kind of weird how, Marcus knows that Jayla killed Victor in the last story arc, and apparently he's okay with it, or at least he's forgave her for it. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I thought him and Victor was getting along a lot more better, and it just feels kind of messed up that he's kind of okay with what Jayla did. But considering what happened with Marcus and Petra, I definitely could see a moment, especially with Marcus being way more older and more experienced, that he might not have actually forgave Jayla and will get his revenge for Victor in the future. So if that happens, I definitely called it. And yeah, so we get to see that Brandy actually has survived And I guess she's married to Shabnam. At least this like type of weird marriage. We don't get to see Shabnam other than in the dream flashback that we saw with Marcus when he had that dream. So we don't know how Shabnam looks at this moment, now that they're all older. But basically, the guy, Petra's father, stays with his group as Marcus and his friends basically set fire to, this group of believers, Petra's father's like religion thing that they had, the people that had attacked Marcus and his group in the last story arc. And Helmet and Marcus and all of them basically burn these people down to the ground, their whole area where they were, worshiping this like satanic stuff and all that. And he basically dies, I guess, with his people. At least that's what's implied. And he tells Brandy that she needs to go on, survive, and teach what he's taught her. And so it looks like Brandy might become an antagonist in the future as well. And the story ends with Marcus basically talking about that they have to try to save the moments that they enjoy, and just enjoy life. And that was the main topic of the entire issue, basically, is not to try to make yourself immortal, but just to enjoy life while you're here and alive. And I thought that was pretty cool and amazing. And yeah, that's how the issue ends, with all of them just looking at the fire that they caused and kind of getting closure for Helmet and killing Petra's father and their death cult and stuff like that. This like satanic type cult. And it feels really good that, they finally were able to avenge Petra. And I guess in this way, maybe Marcus trying to redeem himself in Helmet's eyes, kind of like bury the hatchet between the two, because they did have a little bit of a back and forth early in the issue, talking about, that Marcus had left Helmet to die. But as Marcus said, Helmet was trying to kill him first. So it was just like, they could go back and forth all day. But it looks like they're finally burying the hatchet in this issue, and that this finally closes that chapter in their lives. It looks like we're heading towards the end game. To be honest, guys, the way the pacing was in this issue, I think that we are definitely heading towards the end game. I think I can see this lasting maybe one more story arc. I do think Deadly Class is going to come to an end, probably maybe on issue 60 or something. Like, I have a feeling it's going to end either at 60 or in the 50s. Because the way the pacing was, it was moving way too fast. And they're way too much older for them to just, like, wait till they're, like, full-on adults. And, they might be full-on adults. I have no idea. I don't think it said how old they were in this issue. You might have to go by the year. So I don't know exactly. But, yeah, they're definitely older by, like, a lot. And, yeah, I definitely think that the series is coming to an end really soon. Maybe in the next arc or two. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I really love this series, but I do want it to end with dignity and to be a good ending than rather just drag on and get really bad in the future.
So this whole issue basically focuses on Saya, and a lot of years has passed, and apparently it's jumped by like 10 years. This story is now taking place in, I think it's 2001, and yeah, we get to see that Saya is actually living on the streets, and she's actually gotten herself hooked on like drugs and stuff. So she's dealing with those type of problems, and eventually she starts getting really like high and stuff, starts hallucinating and seeing, crazy things such as like a magical forest and stuff. She also gets, some advice from a pastor that says that he has like an outreach program for people like her that are kind of hooked on drugs. He can get her off of drugs. And yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it's really cool to see Saya, really come this far down. Now, Saya's arm actually had gotten cut off. She was having to cut her arm off at the end of the last story arc, and it gets confirmed here that she doesn't have her arm. So that's pretty messed up. And we also get to see that while Saya's having her hallucinations, we get to see that Brandy has actually become, I guess, a governor or a congresswoman of one of the states. I believe it's California. And yeah, so a lot of time has passed, and they're actually at the age of like, I'm guessing 24, 25 years old now, all these kids. And yeah, it's pretty interesting to see them like this. So Saya basically passes out, and she wakes up in some place, some apartment, and she hears, some sound saying that, they know that she's in there. So she gets herself weaponed up, and she barges out of the door, and she sees that Marcus is waiting for her, and he basically says, rise and shine, sleepyhead. And that's how the issue ends, with, Saya just being surprised seeing Marcus. And yeah, it seems like, they're gonna have some revenge to do, go and destroy King's Dominion. It's gonna be interesting, that's how the issue ends.
So this issue basically starts off with a flashback. The entire theme is a flashback, and I believe it's the year 1989. So this takes place way before any of the stuff in the Savior Generation story arc, which was a really interesting way for this to end off, the story arc, in my opinion. And yeah, so we basically see King's Dominion, and we're told about what happened in this last year for Marcus and his friends and stuff like that. And we basically jump right into the action with Marcus and everyone else basically killing each other, and everyone trying to get revenge. Marcus and his crew trying to get revenge on Master Lin for making them into these assassin killers and stuff like that, and trying to stop the cycle, as Marcus says. And we get a lot of cool action scenes. Eventually, some of Marcus's friends basically attack Master Lin and the rest of the teachers, actually succeeding in killing some of the teachers. And eventually Master Lin is put in a position that he's going to have to fight himself, and kind of like tells himself that he's going to have to kill some of these students. And a battle breaks out between Marcus, I forgot what his name was, the dude that had the boyfriend that he killed, fighting against Master Lin. And we get some flashbacks showing Marcus and his friends in different moments in their time together, and it's a really cool action sequence. Eventually Marcus tries to kill Master Lin, and Saya saves him by cutting Marcus in the back, stopping him from killing Master Lin, and basically tells him that the master that they need to get out of here, basically. Now Willie's sister basically tells Marcus if Saya tried to kill him, but Marcus realizes that she just cut enough to stop him from killing Master Lin, and that she's not entirely ready to kill Marcus. And we learn that the reason why Saya needs Master Lin is so that he can make her valedictorian and basically let her become the head of the Yakuza, basically being the first woman to ever take over her Yakuza, basically, as Marcus says. Now, Shabnam is basically running, and because he knows he's going to get killed by that dude that made him kill his boyfriend, basically. And they basically get into a confrontation, and he's about to, basically kill Shabnam whenever Marcus basically shows up and tells him that he can't do this, he can't kill Shabnam. And we get this interaction between him and Marcus, where Marcus tells him that he needs to break the cycle, he has to be the better man. And eventually Marcus is able to get through to him, and he allows Shabnam to leave, and Shabnam basically says that, that Marcus is, a real friend, basically, kind of like just mocking him. And he basically tells him that, they need, that, this can come back to bite him in the butt, basically, he tells Marcus. And he's not wrong, Shabnam probably is going to be, like, the final villain because of this, because we do know that there's one final arc after this that will end the series. So I'm guessing Shabnam will be the final antagonist, which is very fitting because he kind of is the student that Master Lin needed, maybe not wanted, but needed, and he kind of like continues on, I guess, Master Lin's will and stuff like that. And it's pretty interesting. And, like I said, I think that all of this basically comes together and, shows us that there's one last stage for this story to go through. Eventually, Marcus finds Master Lin and Saya, and he realizes that he wants to kill Master Lin to stop this cycle. Basically, make sure that Master Lin doesn't do this to anybody else and get any other kids to become, assassins and kind of train them in this deadly art, as well as getting them to kill each other. And Saya and Marcus get into a confrontation, they get into a fight. And it's a really good fight. Of course, Marcus shouldn't be able to, take on Saya considering all of her training. But eventually, as the fight's going on, and Saya's gonna land a killing blow on Marcus, at least that's what it seems like, or maybe she's gonna fake it like she did during the, I forgot what the arc was called, but Volume 4 of Deadly Class. An earthquake basically happens. And And this earthquake is crazy, and I think it's called the Loma Prieta earthquake. And as Marcus says, it saved his life. At least, if Saya was going to go through with the killing blow, we don't know that for sure. But Master Lin basically gets trapped under the rubble that fell on top of him, and Marcus is going to kill Master Lin. And Master Lin basically says that, Marcus is actually his greatest student, that he's proud of him. And he calls him his son as well. And, Marcus is talking to Saya as well, saying that her family's dead, that she has no one to impress, so why go through with keeping Master Lin alive after everything he's done to them? And Marcus decides not to kill Master Lin by his own hands. And Master Lin basically says, not to leave him like this, that, don't leave me like this, please, Marcus. And this is where Marcus says that, exactly like this, and he saves Saya, even though Saya says, to leave her because she has nothing basically to live for. But Marcus basically grabs her from under the rubble and they escape. And Marcus and Saya get, affected by the earthquake because there's another earthquake that hits, I guess, another seismic, shaped, and basically knocks Marcus out. And when Marcus wakes up, Saya's not there. And we know that in the future they see each other, because that's how the last issue left off. And Master Lin basically is under the rubble still, and the whole place of King's Dominion, I guess, crumbles and falls down, which is very poetic, being that the entire King's Dominion has been destroyed now. And Master Lin is killed supposedly during this, collapse of the King's Dominion school building. And that's the end, it seems, of Master Lin. And as, Marcus says, now can we just get on with this? Which basically implies that he wants us to move forward in time and see what this final portion of what he needs to do. He still hasn't been revealed what it is that he wants to do with Saya. And yeah, there have been some stuff coming out, some covers and some synopsis for the next 2 issues. So I will be making a video talking about what I think is going to happen off of those synopsises. So be on the lookout for that video. And yeah.
And that was Rick Remender and Wes Cred's Deadly Class Volume 10, Save Your Generation. Overall, it was a really good volume. I really enjoyed the interactions between the characters and seeing exactly where they're at throughout this time jumps that we got. The time jumps themselves are a little distracting for a lot of viewers, but I do understand that that when it comes to Deadly Class, we've been pretty much in a linear storytelling fashion, and the time jumps are a little distracting. But hopefully the final volume, when that does come out, or these final issues, don't kind of continue this time jump type thing, and we just get a full solid conclusion to the story. Overall, I really enjoyed some of the stuff in here. I enjoyed what happened with Saya. I enjoyed the tease that Marcus did kill, I forgot what his name was, the guy that was with Maria, and it's implied that he might have killed Maria as well. And I really enjoyed the stuff they did with Saya's character too, and her and Marcus teaming up to basically go and try to fix what happened with Master Lin or something like that. It's very iffy with the time jumps and that, but I did enjoy the ending for Master Lin's character as well. And it seems like the final volume really is going to be focusing on Shabnam being the next generation for Master Lin's dream. Which is kind of funny because Master Lin basically says Marcus is his son and basically is his perfect student, but Shabnam's the one that's actually taking on, it seems, Master Lin's will to continue on the school probably in the future. And then Brandy seems like she'll be a main villain as well for the final arc. I'm not sure they confirmed how long the final arc is going to be, so we'll see how big Volume 11 is going to be. But overall, I'm excited for Deadly Class's finale, and overall, this volume was pretty solid. I can see why a lot of people think that it went a little downhill compared to Volume 9 and before, but I still think the series is pretty solid, and I can't wait to see how it finishes. And yeah, until we jump into the next volume, I do recommend you watch my channel for the issue reviews that are going to be coming out, just we're going to be covering the final arc on the channel as it's coming out issue by issue. So issue, I think it's 49, The review for that will be out because it has already dropped. I believe it dropped like on December 1st or 2nd. That will be out probably tomorrow. So be sure to check that out and be sure to subscribe so that way you don't miss any daily class videos that come out on the channel. That's to be all, guys. Until next video, God bless you. Until the next lesson, keep on reading those comments.